Today I'm going to talk about automation and essentially the second parameter of CAM's model. A few of you may not know what CAM's model is. CAMs stand for Culture, Automation, Measurement, and Sharing. The reason I'm discussing this topic is because the last couple of months I've had interesting, debatable conversations with a few teams about automation, especially in AWS world. So I just have one slide to discuss. So the current AWS automation trend, if you will, is cloud formation. A lot of organizations are looking at cloud formation as the ultimate solution, which is going to solve all the problems. And I have a little different view on this. And a few people here who are listening to me may not necessarily agree with what I'm saying, but I'm just going to say it out loud. Now, formation is a nice tool to have. Don't get me wrong. The kind of infrastructure that these cloud providers have nowadays is fantastic. Everything is run on REST APIs, and it's so easy to just create a stack, right? Now, per my observation, there are a few limitations of cloud formation, especially. The first one is JSON. When I was first given a project which had cloud formation deeply rooted, and when I looked at the CFT, cloud formation template, I was speechless because it was totally unreadable. And that's because of JSON, something that repels me, and I'm sure a lot of people, uh, JSON is unreadable. It's not modular programming that we are used to. I mean, talk about talk about any programming, right? I'll talk about Python. You will just write four functions, call them one by one, right? And it's so readable. So if I'm writing a particular Python program in a week, let's say for example, it will take a new guy to read and understand that maybe a week or two tops. But if I write a JSON CFT in a week, it may take 2 to 4 weeks for somebody to understand that. And it's so easy to make a mistake, a comma here and there. I know there are some CFT validation programs available, but the idea is it really readable? Again, some of you will argue that you can nest it, right? Sure, you can, but still, it's not human readable to me. It's a machine readable, sure, but it's not human readable. At least not to me. Another problem or limitation per my observation, brain. What do I mean by that? Let's compare CFT with Snowball and Snowball Edge. Now, Snowball, we know. Let's logically compare it, right? Not technically. Now, Snowball will carry storage for you from point A to point B, and Snowball Edge will have a CPU on board on the Snowball, which can process the data and and give you something, right? There's some brain associated with it, right? With Snowball Edge. Now, one of the examples that I have heard in the past is Snowball Edge can be fantastic in an airline where, excuse me, you can put Snowball Edge on an aircraft, let's say a 14-hour flight from, let's say, Dubai to Washington D.C., and it'll collect all the data points. It'll compile the data points using onboard Lambda functions and stuff like that. It'll give you something when you land, right? And that is exactly what I'm talking about. So I would like my automation tool, especially in this case, CloudFormation, to have a little bit of compute. And that is not always the case. That is not the case. There is a limitation. There is a better way of solving this problem. by going custom resources with CloudFormation. But at the end of the day, I'm not sure if it will 100% solve that problem. And even if it does, we are introducing more complexities to existing fun JSON that we have, right? And yes, there has been a talk about maybe Chef integration with CloudFormation. And again, the bottom line, in my opinion, is that we are making something that is already unreadable even more unreadable, right? So, what do I believe in? I strongly feel that robotic process automation, RPA style automation, is the key moving forward. And what do I mean by that? Now, what I mean by that is using a single lambda function or series of lambda functions which can be run either serially or parallelly using step functions, which is fantastic. So what we can do is we can control the flow of operation. At the same time, we can get over um, with the barrier of 5 minutes that lambda presents to people, even compute at some level, right? So that could be one of the options that you have. So either use one lambda or multiple lambdas serially or parallelly using step functions as a wrapper. And second option is Terraform and Ansible. Now, Terraform and Ansible are married to each other, we know that. And mature organizations are moving multi-cloud. So it makes more sense to use something like Terraform and Ansible to do your automation than be married to, let's say, CFT in AWS case, which is not going to be useful if you're going multi-cloud, right? If you're talking private cloud, if you're talking about GCP, if you're talking about Azure. So it makes more sense that we start writing Terraform and Ansible, which is going to be more productive, which is going to have more compute power, which is going to be more of a snowball edge, quote unquote, from logical standpoint, right? And I'm just going to present these thoughts and let you think about it, ponder over what we just talked about, because it just depends upon your organization maturity. Excuse me. Because if your organization is seeking external help, and if you're if you started talking AWS recently, people will push you in the direction of CFT, and they'll try to sell you that AWS cloud formation is the magic pill. It's the ultimate mantra that you have to go ahead with, and without that, you cannot live, right? It just depends upon at what stage you are at with cloud migration, your organization maturity, understanding the agile freedom, quote unquote, if I can use that word, and compliance, right? So with these thoughts, I'll leave you alone and give you a few moments to think about it. If you have any comments, just send me an email at vmbhosale at gmail.com, and we can talk more about it. Thanks, guys.